So right in between the books of 1st and 2nd Kings, we get the stories of Ahab and Elijah. And today we're going to focus on Ahab. King Ahab was recognized as one of the worst kings of Israel in terms of spirituality, in terms of leadership, and just all around generally a bad dude. However, we see the end of his reign come at the end of the book of 1st Kings. And we see it come in a really interesting way that is sort of foretold throughout the book. You see, Ahab consistently ignores the will and the warnings of God. And time again, God tries to turn him away from what he's doing, and he repents for a time, or at least appears to, but then just goes right back on doing what he wants. And so at the end of the book of 1st Kings, we see that Ahab is going to go to war with the city of Judah as an ally, and who's ruling Judah at the time is a much godlier king named Jehoshaphat, who makes a deliberate point to consistently seek the advice of prophets. And so Jehoshaphat, in going to war alongside Ahab, says that the two should seek some prophetic counsel from one of God's prophets. Ahab knows exactly the guy for this and hates him for it, because this is a prophet who criticizes Ahab and tries to warn him of the destruction coming. But at Jehoshaphat's wishes, the two end up bringing in this prophet, whose name is Micaiah. I think I'm saying that right. And Micaiah warns that in going to war, Ahab is gonna ultimately get killed because of all of his disobedience to God. And then Micaiah turns up and points a finger at the other prophets who Ahab had earlier asked, who are all a bunch of false prophets who just want to boost up the king and make him feel good. And he points at them and he calls them liars, which upsets them and gets Micaiah thrown in prison. But ultimately Ahab listens to Micaiah's advice and says, see, this guy just doesn't like me, and continues to ignore the warning and goes off to war. And lo and behold, dies. And in fact, as we go into 2nd Kings, we actually see a continue of this trend with Ahab's sons hearing from prophets and rejecting the wisdom of God, until one eventually at least rises up enough to listen and actually succeeds in battle because of it. So I think the moral of this story here is twofold. One, don't surround yourself with people who are false prophets, either literally or figuratively, who just puff you up and don't give you godly counsel. And then point number 2 would be, if you're going to seek counsel from anyone, seek counsel from God, and listen to what he says. Don't spend your time trying to avoid God's advice and thinking you'll somehow turn out better as a result. But let me know what your thoughts are on this, and I'll see you tomorrow.